Hello, this is Courtney with St. Clair Creative. Welcome to day 2 of my 12 Days of Card Making series. Today is all about black and silver. Starting off with some Gina cardstock in black Onyx and Lawn Fawn's Just Stitching double rectangles dies. What this die does is cuts just the stitching, does not cut a panel out. So after I get the stitching onto my card panel by running it through my die cutting machine, I trim around the edges so I have the stitching just at the edge. So I have the Catherine Pooler One Fine Pine background stamp. I get that into my Misti. Basically what I do is I put the stamp down first, get it transitioned to the lid, then put my card panel on top of it, put some repositionable adhesive, that's so hard to say, on the back of the card panel, close the Misti upside down, flip it over. That way I have my card panel exactly where I want it, the stamp where I want it. I treat my panel with an anti-static pouch. Just puts a little bit of powder on the card so that you don't get fingerprints and other things on the card. Ink up my stamp with VersaMark Watermark Ink and get a few impressions just to ensure we get a good embossing later on. And then I'm using Ranger Silver embossing powder. Heat that with the Wagner heat tool. Heating from the back just to help warm up that embossing powder so it doesn't blow around. And then I move on to the sentiment. I just love the moment when the embossing starts to turn. Every time it gets me. I love it. It's just like this excitement and awe at how awesome it looks. Do you guys get that? I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one, but I absolutely love it. So on to the sentiment. I'm using some Gina cardstock here, Moonlit Fog, and a stamp set from Catherine Pooler, the Holiday Mix. Has a bunch of fun holiday sentiments. This one is A Season's Greetings. And stamping that with VersaMark ink, and then I'm going to heat emboss that using black Ranger embossing powder. Even though I did use my anti-static powder tool, I still had a little bit of extra embossing powder, so I just have a dry brush here that I'm sweeping some of that away. Not too great a deal, there's still some speckles on there, but it doesn't bother me that much. So just heat setting this with my Wagner heat tool. So after heat setting this, I noticed that I kind of had a splotchy embossing. It's kind of hard to see on screen, but it's not a very solid embossing. So lucky for me, I left my stamp in my Misti. So all I have to do is position the card again, use some more of the anti-static tool, ink up that stamp again, emboss again, and I get a great impression that second time. And then I am die cutting the circle out and then a little bit larger circle from some vellum. I'm using Gina double stitch circle small die set. matches well with the double stitch that I added to the tree panel. I have a card base created from the Moonlit Fog cardstock. I'm using Distress Collage Medium to adhere that tree panel onto the card base, and then for the two circles, putting them together and adding them to the card as well. And with that, this card is complete. Thanks for joining me today. Hope to see you again tomorrow for day 3 of my 12 days of card making series. See you then.